What's up, guys? So this is my rescue build right now. So this is the build that if I was going to YCS DORTMUND right now, I'd probably take. It might shift a bit. I'll update it again during the week if I think it's going to, but I'm going to explain my choices behind the build and how I think rescue does in this format versus a lot of the matchups. So as you can see, the biggest difference I'd say is obviously the books are gone and Ibli's gone. Now I do think Ibli's still good, and I think there's a world where you do still potentially main deck Ibli just because people aren't going to be playing books anymore, which means they don't have an out in their main deck to it as often. And also, I don't think people are going to learn and play around Ibli like you would expect people to do, but I'm pretty sure they won't. Having said that, I've still taken it out and just respected my opponents and chosen to believe they will not lose, they will not have the outs to Ibli and whatever. Now, the other thing is I was playing Ash Nib in Perm as my hand traps before. I've gone off that. My big issue is that Nib is so bad when your opponent has thrust or talents. It's so bad, so bad this format. You get, especially in Rescue Ace, because in Rescue Ace you only usually have 1 or 2 lines of play. So if you get punished by a talents, look at your hand, or thrust, look at your hand, you just lose, and you can't afford to get that. And it's like, it just kept happening. I played about 5 DB games today, and every single time when one of 2 things happened, either I couldn't use my nib or I used it and I got punished, and I was just like, oh my god, this card is not doing what I want it to do, which is shut down the turn. There was one game against Sword Soul where I nibbed him and I won, but it's like, I'm not scared enough of Sword Soul to want to play it. And when I look at the top decks, it's going to be Rescue Ace, Pearly, Unchained, Flunder, probably some sort of combo power, probably Tia. Most of the top decks, like Unchained, Tia, Flunder, they can get nibbed, but they can either play around it, or if you nib them, they don't care. And then you have decks like Pearly and Rescue Ace where nib doesn't really hurt them. Like Rescue Ace does their combo and then they get nibbed, like Mathmix, so it doesn't matter if you nib them. Pearly usually can't get nibbed, and because of that I just don't think it's a high value card. I do think Imperm is actually super mandatory though. I think Imperm's really good. Like I said before, it actually does trade well onto Unchained board. You just Imperm Caesar and you've cut off a big part of the end board, which is quite nice. And then just against a lot of decks, I want to have a hand trap or something on their turn, but I don't want to risk getting hand trapped. And Ash is okay, because against the decks that hard lose to Ash, like the Labyrinths, the Branded and stuff, like even Rescue Ace, Ash is great. But against decks that don't hard lose to it, oh my gosh, yeah, it's terrible. But even in that situation, I'd still rather have Ash than the other hand trap. So that's why I'm only rushing Ash and Imperm. Now, I've taken the books out. I think the books are a little bit worse. I do think they're still worth playing, but so far I haven't super missed them. Like, there's been once or twice in my term where I've missed that utility from the books, but I don't think it's that much of a problem. And as you can see, I'm playing Crossout as well. But the funny thing is, I'm playing Crossout because of Ash. But the real reason why I'm playing Crossout is actually because of Thrust and Talents. Thrust and Talents are so ridiculously annoying right now. They're just so hard to play around. I actually really don't like those cards. I think those 2 cards and probably Prosperity all need to go. They're just really annoying cards. What I really don't like about Thrust and Talents is they just hard punishes you for interacting with your opponent sometimes. And because of that, I actually have Crossout just so that I can stop those cards sometimes. I did want to play Anti-Spell, but Anti-Spell isn't very good in this deck because they're going to side in that back row removal for you, which means they'll often have counters, and you set 4, so you don't want to side into more spells and traps most of the time because you're already going to block up 4 of your zones. But yeah, I don't know, I might still put an Anti-Spell. There's a chance that I might just go screw it and put an Anti-Spell anyway. I do think if you're a deck that is not Rescue Ace, definitely play Anti-Spell, because Thrust, Talents, guys. I just had a game against Trapchicks player where he used Thrust, then he used Talents, but I survived 1 turn. The next turn he used Thrust again. I was like, oh my gosh, what do you do? Thrust and Talents are huge issues for Rescue Ace. Then going into the side deck, guys, Ultimate Slayer is insane. I think Ultimate Slayer is a mandatory side card for Rescue Ace now. You've got the extra deck space for it, and the other thing about Ultimate Slayer that's so good is it's not a once per turn. I think that is so huge. The fact that this card is not a once per turn means that you can just do some really unfair things when you draw 2 and just like completely clatter up an opponent's board. Another thing, Rescue Ace often people make a board and they'll do things like set an Imperm, and that's what you lose to, that's set Imperm or whatever. One thing I really like about Ultimate Slayer is it lets me out that by sending obviously the Evil Twin card, which is good. So I really like Ultimate Slayer. I do think that card should be there. There's perhaps a world where I only play 2 and I play another Thrust in the side, but yeah, Ultimate Slayer is great. And in terms of hand trap philosophy, that hasn't changed much. It's more just having the kind of FTK hand traps and more lingering floodgates in the FTK hand traps instead of more back row on the side, because it doesn't last anyway. I did try Lightning Storm. Lightning Storm's not good. Every single time, I just didn't want to side it in because Cosmic Cyclone has utility going first and it's good going second. There is just no matchup where the back row was so oppressive that I need to get rid of all of them. Every single time I'd rather have Cyclone, so I do think Cyclone is the one that we want to go with. Then the extra deck, as you can see, I've gone back to Terahertz. I've gone back to Terahertz specifically because I'm playing Ultimate Slayer. So Ultimate Slayer is so good that I want to play it, and so I'm going to play Terahertz because that has synergy, because it means you can play Aggregator as another Slayer target on top. So now both links and XYZs I can bounce back. I bounce back fusions as well, it's just not as valuable. But yeah, I do really like the terahertz package just for this variant. Heat Soul's no longer in my deck and I do miss it sometimes, but the reason why I put in BLS is I just wanted some sort of free answer to Flunder. The thing is, Flunder is a hard matchup and there's just no two ways about it. I'm not playing Fire Attacker as well, which is also good in the Flunder matchup, and all of that combines to create a situation where I would say I just want a card that I can put on the board and Flunder has to invest annoying resources to deal with it. Like, it's not easy for them to play. So that's why BLS is there instead of Heat Soul. But yeah, guys, this is my build. So we're going to go over to a game and then I'll let you guys see how that game went. So guys, this is a game against Chimera. Now, obviously, it's beginning of the format, so no one is high rated, but this guy he's been playing a bit, so yeah, it is what it is. But he starts off with his combo, and this is one of the games when I was playing Nib, and again, this is the problem I have. You come and go up against decks like this and you can't even use the Nib, so I'm just gonna end up scooping because I don't want to reveal any information to him. But I mean, yeah, like, Nib is not great. Imperm would have been a little bit good here. He probably could have dodged it because he has cross out, but yeah, Nib just does nothing. It's just not a great card, so he's gonna loot my hand. I'm gonna go, oof. Yeah, I don't even want to show you my cards, so I'm just going to scoop. Go to next game, and this is where I really like Retaliating Sea. Like, Retaliating Sea just and draw. Like, my hand is so unfair. I actually play my hand completely wrong. I can't lie. I play my hand so badly. But it's because I look at my hand and I'm like, I've got so many win conditions, I don't even need to do anything. Now, I forgot I wasn't playing Heat Soul, which is the big mistake I make here first. Because in my head, it's like, I just need to consolidate resources and then make Heat Soul, because I know no matter what, he can't really play next turn. And he didn't open amazing anyway. Like, this is the problem with Chimera deck as well when you play cards like, look at this crap though. He's playing Nibbers on, he's got that nonsense spot over. This is the problem with the Chimera deck. You have a lot of cards that are just not that good by themselves in hand. So I realize here, oh crap, I can't make Heat Soul. And he nibs me as well. So it's like, whatever. But I'm fine with that because one of the things I always say is when your opponent nibs you in risk case, you're actually quite happy because it means you're not getting lightning storms, you're not getting evenly. So he nibs me. Then I'm going to draw him immediately after that because I'm like, the thing is, I kind of want to conserve the D barrier, and in my head I'm thinking, if he hasn't just kind of shotgun some sort of back row removal, my assumption is he has no back row removal card, which means I'd rather use the draw now and slow him down with that than use anything else. So he's going to go into that. Now, I could have stopped him here from making Dragoon, but honestly, I'm not actually that scared of Dragoon. Again, it's not going to be a Dragoon made properly where he can pop stuff and put pressure, and he has to keep discarding cards, and I've got enough kind of like floodgates and stuff to stop him playing each turn. So he's going to summon out Dragoon, set a card, and then end phase I'm going to do that. That forces him to discard a card, which I don't care about, because then in my turn I'm going to do another summon. I'm going to try and summon with Preventer. Going to bring out Airlifter, going to bring out HQ, and I'm just trying to consolidate resources here. Now, I do make a little bit of a misplay here as well. I probably should have tried to continue extending with Hydrant, but I kind of wanted to be greedy and get my Preventer and get that summon, but whatever. I get a bit punished here because he does just negate the HQ. Like, I do have access to Reinforce, but whatever. Now, I flipped D-Barrier here because I thought that would stop, but he had Eclipse, which I think this is right, but I think because he Book of Mooned his monster, it's not affected by my D-Barrier. But I don't care because I'm like, this is actually really good for me. What's going to happen is his card is flipped down and I have another D-Barrier. So I'm just going to get 2 draws and then D-Barrier him before he flips his cards up. And then now he can't do anything on his turn. So it's going to go back to his turn. He's going to like go into his regular fusion place. And again, this is the problem with decks like this. It's like all you can do is make fusion monsters. This does nothing. I'm not even going to let him kill my card because Reinforce is so big. And this is, look, Reinforce is good. It's game states like this where Reinforce really comes in clutch, because if I didn't have Reinforce, he actually just kills both of my monsters there, and the next turn it's a little bit more difficult. But because I had Reinforce, not only am I able to stop him killing my card, I'm also able to reset Rescue and Book of Moon his negated Dragoon now, which allows me to just completely win next turn, so he scoops. Then going into game 3 again, look at my hand, and this is what makes the match up so easily. Look, he has talents, which is really good here, and I think he does make a bit of a mistake on what he shuffles back. But as soon, look, and the reason why I don't answer his Aluba with Impulse here is because I don't want to play into talents. I know if I resolve Retaliating Sea, Chimera struggles, they're not going to do much. So I'm like, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to play safe. I'm going to wait until now so that it definitely resolves. I summon out Retaliating Sea. And so here's where I say he makes a pretty big mistake, because going into Dragoon is correct here, and his hand is actually not bad. What I would have done here is definitely shuffle back the Impulse. If you shuffle back Impulse, I just don't really have a play, and I have to hope I top deck a little body. But he shuffles back Preventer. What's my top deck? Well, I top deck a Prosperity, so it doesn't matter anyway. Another card that needs to go, guys. Prosperity is just ridiculous. It's not a fair card. I really don't like this card, guys. I really don't like this card. I think it needs to just disappear from the format and stop being played and just stop making the game unfair. But as you can see, he's going to Dragoon negate, but it does nothing because Impulse basically checks that. I would say as well, if you know you only have one negate and they normal summon Impulse, just let it through, because a lot of times impulse is going to get them the card they want anyway. So if you negate it, you've just given me a summon from the deck, which actually helped. Now he does have Book of Eclipse, and in this situation Book of Eclipse is actually really big, but I make a huge misplay, and I'm so lucky though, because he's been bleeding cards from his hand. I could have added Preventer or something, but I completely forgot that I've actually normal summoned already. So I had Airlifter, tried to normal summon, he's like, you've normal summoned already, mate. I'm like, oh crap, and I'm thinking, oh, I might lose here because I don't even get the draws. But again, this is kind of the nice situation where his Dragoon doesn't actually do much, because he can't pop my bodies and just kill me like a normal Dragoon. And then I had an Airlifter, so he does negate my Airlifter. I don't care. Trigger Airlifter, summon Turbulence, and then from here it's very easy to get control of the game, because he has no cards in hand. He has no way to react. It's like here he needs to draw Chimera Engine to have any sort of chance. He draws an Albaz, which is doing nothing. I'm going to pop his card so that I can just get a monster off the field before I start doing anything. And then it's literally just going to be Link Climb on my turn to out the Dragoon, which I think he just scoops from, because yeah, it's obvious that it's game from here. But yeah, so guys, this is my current Rescue Ace build. I do think Rescue Ace is really, really good right now. I would say that in terms of how I'm going to approach DB, it's a little bit different. I'm going to explain that in my vlog later this week probably. So if you're interested, go and watch that, but I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.